Today we're back working on the Redneck Supra, our 2000 Mustang with our straight 6 Atlas motor in it. We're gonna drop the tank out, grab that 200,000 mile factory pump that's just not doing anything. We're gonna try to drop in a Hellcat pump in the stock factory hanger. And once that's done, maybe, just maybe, we can get this thing to start. One of the first things you'll notice right off the bat between the stock pump and this Hellcat pump, which by the way is F900000295. So this is the biggest pump that I think there is available. There's no check valve in it. We'll be removing the factory one as well. Yeah, primarily the height is the same. It's the base is quite a bit larger, so it does not fit down into this factory hanger well. I've got this all apart. There's normally the level unit, sending unit is there, and then the pump sits right in here. So I take this top off, a couple of screws. I'm not going to go over dropping the tank. Plenty of videos on that if you want to see, but really I'm going to go over modifying this. So this bucket sits down in the center and actually has its own filter as well as a filter on the pump. So we'll probably be removing both of those and using just a large one filter. So the main thing is the base does not fit down in here. You see we've got sticking it way too high. So we're probably going to start by first cutting this up, busting out the Dremel. So I'll show you guys where we're going to cut this, how we're going to cut this to get this to drop back in. And then I'll also show you, for anyone who hasn't seen the other video, I'll show you how I did the return line. Pretty simple on here. I would think with a pump with this magnitude, you probably want to have a return system. I know with like a 225 pump, you're probably okay. You're just running the factory deadheaded style. But since we're running a GM ECU and everything, in future we're going to put a turbo on it, we're going to go ahead and just take care of the fuel system now. So I'm going to modify that pump, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when we're done. And then popped the external filter as well as the little pickup tube off of here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with cutting out this section here, because on the inside, this piece that juts out is what's interfering with this. So we'll take that out first, kind of see what room we have. The pickup filter on this is also much larger, so we got to make sure that fits as well. But long short of it, we're going to cut this out and probably cut out a little piece here for the filter to stick out. Drill some extra holes. Be good. So you can see where I've taken the Dremel to this. Really just cut out a section right there where that first hole was. We'd remove that whole piece and kind of just open it up. You pretty much need to open it up to where this little line is, this little notch. And then of course, like I said, this tube is missing now. And as you can see, even with the wider bottom, that now fits in there. Now it's sitting pretty much, let's see if I can do this one-handed, sitting there on the bottom where the filter is going to go. I don't think this will fit on that pump. No, it definitely won't, because it's much larger. So that's that. Next thing is when I put this top on, I want to be able to screw it back into place, and this needs trimmed. So we're going to trim this back a little bit so it sits on top here. We'll have our wire, our connector, we'll get to that later, and then of course our feed. So the next step is to get the filter to fit. So again, this has a really small sock, fits inside of here. This has a much larger filter. I'll grab it in a second and show you. So we'll probably end up cutting some of this out and just have the filter just chilling out here in the bottom. Now there are these feet on the bottom, which I'm trying not to cut into. So we'll just have to make our way around that as best we can. Might just cut a whole slot across the bottom here, and we can of course rotate this sideways so that our filter just sits kind of out here. So that is next step. So when I come back, I'll show you guys where we cut for that, as well as trimming this, and hopefully we'll have it all screwed back down. All right, so that's about what we're looking for. You can see the pump's got a little bit of an angle to it, which shouldn't be any problem at all. Let me deconstruct this and show you how we got to this point. But you can see pretty much between that foot all the way over to the other foot, kind of just open it up for the filter to sit. I mean, it is a little scrunched there, but it shouldn't be any bit of a problem. Again, this filter obviously is like twice, almost 3 times the size of that guy. So shouldn't be bad there. This gets held down with 3 screws, which we'll put in afterwards. But to get to that point, Let me slowly take this off. We pretty much had to open this up. So this did sit almost as high as this. Pretty much dremeled it down. I'll clean it up a little bit. Beveled the edges, opened this up. So you get an idea kind of how that sits. And that lets us just, clamp this back down. And still enough meat on there that it'll hold this pump, where it should be. It won't be able to move around. Let me slide the pump out. So to get this pump out, you kind of just have to feed the filter first. But yeah, there's a good comparison, right? So much larger filter on this guy. So let's set that down. Looking in here, again, we just kind of cut out that chunk across the bottom side there, kind of nice and even. You could probably, if you wanted to, open it up even more, take this piece out, whatever. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Just trying to utilize this. We've got our sending unit on the side. I wanted to keep that. There was like a little, I don't know, flapper thing here. I just took it out. That way the filter could sit a little more even across the bottom. Extra hole to let the fuel come in. No big deal. I don't think we'll have any other problems. I've ran a pump like this before, actually, on this 240 years ago, and there was no, no housing like this. It just kind of free floated on the stand, which is how a lot of those are. So this bucket, I think, just kind of creates like its own little sump. And then my return actually probably dumps back in here. So, this bucket should always have fuel for this. And then, of course, with opening this up, should be plenty of room for extra fuel to go in there. Also, on the SN95, the new Edge, this pump sits kind of in the middle of the tank, where I think on the Fox, it sat more off to one side. I could be wrong. I'm not a Mustang expert. I'm learning as I go. So take that with what you will. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted in here, all buttoned up, and then really we'll dive into the wiring. I don't know if some of these kits come with the other connector. I don't have it. I'm just going to use the factory stuff. So we'll end up cutting this, putting some connectors on here, probably just some butt connectors, and then get this set up to drop back in the tank. And I'll also show you guys how I'm going to wire it up to the car. So this would probably be applicable to any swap, really, an LS swap. I've got a trigger wire coming off the ECU that we're going to be using. And then if you're using the factory setup, still using a factory Mustang, etc., the inertia switch, and I think it's got like some kind of pump modulator, you might use that. So the wiring may be a little different. We're getting rid of all that. I'm gonna run my own relay, my own power to it, and trigger it off the ECU, and then maybe later on down the road, if we end up putting a Holly or some other computer on it, we'll be able to do that as well. So I'll put it all together, show you guys what it looks like put back together in one piece, and then we'll start on the wiring. Here's the pump. Went ahead and took the factory connector off. This pump has a different connector, which isn't going to connect to that. Connector. Anyways, just a standard 2-pin. So if I ever have to change it out, we'll just swap some fresh pins in and go. There you can see the factory check valve and the other port. So we're going to go ahead and take that off right there. And I should be able to connect the hose to the top of our pump, and we'll be all set. Also, here's a quick look at the bulkhead. Got that set up. If you watch the other video, you can see how I did all that. So I'm going to get this together. We've got our sending unit back in. Don't forget the white ground wire. And then we're going to toss it back in the tank. Put that dude back up. And get started on the relay wiring. Should be pretty good. And the factory wiring on here is actually pretty thick. It matches what's on this pump. So hopefully we're should be good there. All right, with the pump back in the tank, we went ahead and focused on some of the wiring. So behind, on the driver's side, behind all the carpet, you'll find actually Ford utilizes this, what they call fuel pump driver module. What this does is, in the factory setup with the returnless system, it PWMs the pump based on fuel pressure to keep a constant, flow and pressure to the pump. Now, since we've added a return line with this bigger pump, which you're going to need a return on a big pump that flows this much, otherwise you're probably just going to run into a lot of issues. I know there's a couple guys that'll run dual modules and stuff, but we're going to bypass all that. What I've done is I've gone ahead and added just a standard automotive relay, and we've cut the factory connector, which you can see here, off. And on the back of this, there are a few wires. We've got a red with a black stripe and a black wire. What we did is we cut those. The black wire just goes to ground. Red and black is your ground side of your fuel pump. So we cut those, connected them together, spliced them up, and that's grounded here. The other wire that we need out of this connector, as you can see, is running off over here, is what they consider brown with a pink stripe, and that's your power wire. So that's going to my output from my relay. And then, of course, we'll have fused battery power coming into the relay, and then a ground itself, which I just added a ground and tagged it here with the others. And then our yellow wire will be our trigger coming from the PCM. So in this case, we've got a green wire output from the PCM. It's just a 12-volt signal to kick the pump on. So we'll be running this in continuous duty cycle. And then I've got a fuel pressure regulator up on the firewall. I'll show you guys a little clip of that. It's in the last video as well. So just need to run fused power back here and my trigger wire, and then we should be able to kick on the pump with key on. So that is the wiring back here. There are probably a few different ways you could do this, again, depending on what setup it is. But with this pump, this much volume, and future horsepower we're trying to make, return system, and a full-time fuel pump regulated with the pressure up front. So disregard the rat's nest of wiring right now. I'm just temporarily trying to get this thing started, and then I'll find a permanent home for those wires. But as far as the fuel pump goes, went ahead and connected to our battery, got it labeled and a fuse there, ran it down underneath here through the fender, popped it out right there, and those wires will get covered later. So they just go through the grommet, which brings us around in here. Snaked it down through there. Again, disregard, I'm in the middle of this. We're gonna run it where this other loom goes. You can see there's wire in there, maybe. If I lift this up. Yeah, so you see there's wire that runs all along this channel. So we'll run it through there, snake it through the back seats, and pop out back here. Then I'll just connect our power wire, and along with that I've got a little green wire coming from the PCM. So this guy here, we'll snake that across and run it along with the power wire, connect both, and then hopefully once we connect those back here, we'll be able to turn the key, see if we can get this thing to start. All right, the fuel pump is connected. I did a couple just quick on and offs, try to get it started. Had to charge the battery. I don't know if there's enough juice in it, but we'll see what this thing will do. Got the HP tuners connected, so we're gonna try to fire it up. No guarantees it's gonna start running. We gonna try though. Here we go. Neutral. Again, I had to charge the battery, so if this doesn't work, we'll be trying again tomorrow. Well, almost. Not sure if it's the anti-theft kicking it off or what, so we'll try one more time. That fuel gauge on the firewall up there, does it look like it's coming up when I'm cranking? See that little gauge on the passenger side?
The fuel lab?
Yeah. Tell me if that goes up when I'm cranking.
Yeah.
Okay. Like 58 or so?
Between 40 and 50 or 46.
Okay. All right. Well.
Did it stop?
No. It's acting like the VATS is still on, the vehicle anti-theft system. So I'm going to jump into the tune, double check that, and so we can get it to start again. Wish us luck. All right, so far I've been able to get it to start twice, but it just instantly dies. So messing with the computer, figure out maybe if I missed something, and also double checking my wiring. But we'll get it running. It is loud. It is just a manifold and that short, I don't know, 1 foot pipe off the back. But we're gonna keep digging in, and I think I'll figure it out. All right, we're back out on the car, and I think we might have figured it out. So I'm in a little chat group with some other 4200 guys, and we don't have vehicle speed sensor hooked up on this. And also, I don't know if that matters or it's a combination of that, plus now it's on manual mode, but it thinks the vehicle is going like 158 miles an hour. Obviously, it's not doing anything. It just defaults to that. So there is a limiter in the speedometer on here, and it limits the fuel. And it was set to like 106. So I maxed it out at 318, and we're gonna write that in now so you guys can see on the HP tuner. So yeah, under speedo limiter, the speedometer, speed limit by fuel. So it literally says like speed at which engine fuel delivery is disabled. And since I'm the only one out here, I can't really tell when the fuel pump's kicking off. I don't know if you can log that in HP tuners, but anyhow, we're gonna write this dude, hopefully, and then we're gonna try it again. And I think that might be it. At first we thought maybe it was the MAF being weird or the oxygen sensor, but I'm like, man, everything's plugged in, everything's good. So I'm gonna let this write, and then I'll come back to you. But I think we might have it. I feel confident. All right, let's open up the scanner, because in HP tuners, I don't think you can have both open at the same time. Connect to the vehicle. Come on. All right, and scan it. All right, here we go. Still don't have an exhaust. Gauges aren't gonna work. Whew. Here we go. It might take a second to crank because there's no check valve in that pump, as you guys know. Ah, man, I thought we had it. Did it again. All right, we're gonna keep trying. All right, I've spent the last 24 hours, probably even longer, trying to figure out why this darn car won't stay running. I've checked my wiring again. I've checked the fuel pump. I took a video with my phone trying to see if it had fuel pressure. What is going on with this thing? And all of a sudden, after talking with a few people, it really seemed like it was just shutting off, like it was still having a VATS issue. And I'm looking at it, and for those that don't know, that's vehicle anti-theft. Essentially, these GM ECUs have to match the key to the ECU. Obviously, we're not using the key from the Trailblazer. We're using the Ford key. So it's not connecting and shutting it off. But I turned it off in the ECU. Well, come to find out, jog my memory, there are different ways to write the tune into the computer. You can just do like a quick calibration, or you can do a write entire. I never saw the button for write entire, so I thought maybe something had changed since I'd used this like 8-10 years ago. No, it's a drop-down menu to write calibration versus write entire. I finally found the drop-down, changed it. We're loading it right now. It takes quite a bit longer to do a write entire, but I am 99.999% sure that's why this thing won't stay running. So as soon as that gets done writing, we're gonna fire this thing up, and you guys will see if I was right or wrong, and also why I feel so stupid. But hey guys, this happens, so we're showing you. You don't always get it right. You don't always remember. Keep going, figure it out, and that's what we're gonna do. So let's fire this thing up. All right, it just wrote the calibration. I heard the fuel pump kick on and off. Let me switch over to the scanner so we can log it. And here goes nothing. Opening the scanner now. Connecting to the vehicle. Start scanning. All right, guys, here we go. Neutral. Hey, hey! There it is, there it is. That's it. She's running. A little loud. We might have an exhaust leak. There we go. All right, I'm gonna shut it off. We don't have any coolant in this thing, but it's running. don't have our wires on ignition, so I can't shut it off with the key just yet. So here we go. Doing a little burn off on the new manifold. There we go. We got it. So that was a little journey on how to add a awesome Hellcat fuel pump, and then also figure out how to get this thing to run. So that was the first time this thing ran. We're gonna button up this wiring and then get our cooling system. I might do the cooling system in a separate episode. And then we'll get this thing over to Jake's, get an exhaust on it, and should be ready to go for that first test drive. Hopefully you guys learned something, or not. We're at least entertained by me not understanding what was going on. But I am super stoked to hear this thing. Can't wait to get it buttoned up so we can go test drive it, because that's where it's really gonna be a lot of fun. If you didn't catch any of the previous episodes of this build, go back and watch them. You have to. It's been a journey, and we're just getting started. So thanks for watching. Thanks for following. If you guys don't subscribe, come on now. What are you doing? Subscribe down below, and we'll catch you on the next one.